What made you a Star Wars fan? What are your favorite memories of a galaxy far, far away? Could Luke be erased and Freddie Prinze Jr. goes off on Star Wars again? And so much more on this special Star Wars Day episode of Bridging the Geekdoms and Shooting the Sith. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Bridging the Geekdoms / Shooting the Sith. Shooting the Sith, I can't talk. This is a special episode that is going to be about Star Wars Day. So happy May the 4th, everybody. May the 4th be with you all. Hopefully you've had a good Star Wars Day. I'm sorry, I wanted to get this started 30 minutes ago, but my internet was acting a fool, so I couldn't get things up and running like I wanted to. But here's the deal. We're just going to dive into it here and make this a little quicker show than normal. And what I really wanted to talk about is Star Wars. I want to talk about like how great Star Wars is and how for many years, Star Wars has influenced me and affected me. But what made me a fan of Star Wars? Not only do I want to know what made me a fan, I want to know what made you a fan. What made you a fan of Star Wars? I know for me, it was the escape from reality, the spectacle of the world that George Lucas had created. I had a rough childhood. My father died when I was really young, and I had some issues at school. But here's the thing. Star Wars, nothing was better than getting home on a Friday night, after school, sitting down, popping in the VHS films of one of the original trilogy, if not all three in that night, and grabbing my action figures from Star Wars and sitting there playing with them. It was an amazing time to be a Star Wars fan and a kid during that time. It was fantastic. I absolutely loved it. And it was my escape from reality to forget about all the bull crap that was going on in my life. But then this got me thinking today, as I'm sitting here thinking about, what this did for me as a child, started thinking, like, what is my favorite memory of Star Wars? And, I've often said that it's when I got my Millennium Falcon, but more recently, an event came up where I truly just fell in love even more with Star Wars. And it was the day that I took my kids to go see The Force Awakens, to see them through my eyes, to understand. Oh, look at that. Hi, Uncle Bob. Hey, nephew Ethan, how's it going, my man? But to see my kids react and experience Star Wars for the first time on the big screen when The Force Awakens came out was such an amazing moment for me. And I absolutely loved what they did, how they received receptive to Star Wars. Granted, they're nowhere near as passionate about it as I have been in my life, but that doesn't mean that they're still not enjoying Star Wars. They do. They enjoy Star Wars. They follow what goes on. They see the new movies and the new shows. But it was an experience like I'll never forget, seeing my kids experience Star Wars for the first time. So the question comes to you, the viewer, the guys, everybody watching and listening to this. What got you into Star Wars? Why are you so passionate about Star Wars? And what is your favorite memory when it comes to Star Wars? So definitely let us know in the comments about that, because I love hearing those stories. I love talking to people and finding out why they've become so passionate about something that they love. It's one of the most interesting things because it gives you a little insight to who somebody is. So yeah, let us know in the comments. I'll definitely, and maybe on a later episode, we'll talk about that stuff. But as I was making this show, wanting to celebrate Star Wars, I fell down a rabbit hole about of the current state of Star Wars. And look, as much as we don't like it, the fandom is divided when it comes to Star Wars. And it's really disappointing because there's really nothing that us as fans can do to stop it except for ignore the other side. And that's impossible to ask, especially when it comes to social media. But really think about it. Fans, there's like two sects of fans. You got the fandom who just wants only what they want. But then you have a section of fans who will only simply sit there and enjoy and take in anything and everything that they're handed with Star Wars. And that's a problem because there's a middle ground there that a lot of people just they don't realize. And that's kind of the issue. That's the problem there because if we could come to that middle ground and understand that yes, we could and should ask for what we want in Star Wars, but not expect to get everything. And we shouldn't just accept all of the bull crap that they put out because there is a good portion of it that hasn't been great. But if we come together in that middle ground, we could help make Star Wars better and hopefully make Star Wars better in the long run. And that is one of the issues. But then there's other issues as well. There's issues such as, I mean, look, let's face it, Star Wars is now owned by a big corporate Hollywood studio, and the practices of such are seeping into the creative side of things. Many people don't like to hear this, and I understand that. Many people don't like hearing this, but it is the truth. And unfortunately, if you point it out, some will call it the woke agenda. And if you say that, then you get labeled as misogynistic or racist or sometimes even worse. But unfortunately, facts are facts. And this is something that has helped divide the fandom for the past 10 years. Then we have the lack of Star Wars merchandise, which is something that I loved growing up. I loved going to different stores, whether it was Walmart, Ames, Hills, Farmore, what had Target, and going to the toy section and looking at all the rows of toys and trying to find an action figure that I didn't have yet. But you don't get that today. You don't get that same feeling. You go to a Walmart today and you got maybe two spindles, not even spindles, two shelves, racks, one tag of Star Wars toys. Now, I'm not as much of a collector as I was back then, but I mean, the toys they make now are nothing compared to what they used to make. I mean, I have a 3D printer right here printing right now, printing a Star Wars thing, because I would never find anything like this on the store today. This is far better than anything that they make today. So I make it myself. I paint it, and then I have something cool to display. It's just what is available today when it comes to the merch is pathetic in quantity and quality. But enough of the bad. Let's get away from the bad. Let's talk about some of the good because there is a lot of good that's come to Star Wars. You know, I think about it. I got into Star Wars in the 90s. In the 90s, I started watching Star Wars. I never would have thought that we would be where we are today with Star Wars. Never. Ethan says, the only merchandise they have are cheap lightsabers. They need more collectibles for collectors. You're exactly right, Ethan. And it's not even like the crazy amount, because they do have like the Black Series toys, but I was never a fan of those. I always liked the 3.75 inch figures, the Power of the Force figures from the 90s and things that came out during episode 2 and 3. Those are the figures I always liked and enjoyed finding. But you're exactly right. They don't have great collectibles on store shelves like they used to. But getting back to Star Wars today, I never would have thought that we would have, you know, whether it's comics, novels, television shows, gaming, you know, and films, like the amount of Star Wars that we have today is absolutely incredible. It is absolutely incredible. And to sit there and act like Star Wars is worse now than it was before is absolutely asinine to even think. I mean, look, Star Wars is like pizza. You know, pizza's good, but not all pizza is equal. But I tell you what, you always want more pizza, and that's Star Wars. Not everything is great, but you always take that little bit of Star Wars. Yeah, you should complain. You should sometimes take it back to the chef and say, hey, this wasn't good. So maybe they can adjust for the next time they make it. But that's the thing. That's Star Wars, what it is today. We would never, if George Lucas were still in charge, still running things, we would not have as much Star Wars as we do today. And that's something to be excited about. Because let's face it, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 total projects lined up that we are aware of, that we know of, that are coming out over the next 5 or less years. From Ahsoka, which comes out just in a few months. Who would have thought Ahsoka, this character that was so despised in 2008, who would have thought that nearly 15 years later she gets her own show and it is one of the most anticipated Star Wars projects to ever come out? Who would have thought? I can't wait for it. I think it's going to be fantastic. Then we have Skeleton Crew, which was a surprise announcement just about a year ago. Nobody knew about it, but it's already coming out by the end of this year. Again, attached to what they're doing with Ahsoka, Book of Boba Fett, The Mandalorian. Then we have a show, The Acolyte, and they're doing something that I've been asking for years. They're focusing on the villains. And that is a huge, huge thing. I love that idea to focus on the villains because, let's face it, focusing on the heroes is fun and all, but sometimes you got to focus on the villains to get their side of things. And I really like this idea. Granted, I am a little worried about the Hollywood, practices seeping into this show. We've already seen hints of it, so I am concerned about that, but I am willing to give it a shot and hope for the best. Mandalorian Season 4. Come on. Who doesn't want to see more Baby Yoda? I know my kids do. Then, when it comes to film, we have a new Jedi Order movie coming. And while there are some issues that have popped up about that, because Damon Lindelof was the one who was doing this project, he wanted to jump 60 years into the future and do an old Rey story, have a Helen Mirren type of actress play Rey. But recently he came out and said, look, they fired me from this. And they brought somebody else in, and now they're going 15 years after the Rise of Skywalker, following Rey and establishing the new Jedi Order. And that could be interesting. That could be fun. That could be exciting. I still think, while I don't think the sequels were great, I think Rey is an excellent character that could be, if handled well, could be a great character in Star Wars. She just isn't there yet. But if done well, she could be a great character. And a movie that I'm not too excited about, we got the Taika Waititi film. I have a love-hate relationship with Taika Waititi because I loved Jojo Rabbit. I thought that was fantastic. Thor Ragnarok was okay. Thor Love and Thunder was horrendous. But then he directed an episode of The Mandalorian in season 1, and that was great. So, I have this weird feeling, and I'm a little worried about Taika Waititi doing a Star Wars movie. But again, trying something different. Throw some green peppers on that pizza. Try something a little bit different. Maybe some anchovies. Never know. I know. Try some pineapple. Maybe it'll be like pineapple pizza. Throw some pineapple pizza, pineapple on pizza. Try it, and hey, it's not half bad. Maybe that could be the Taika Waititi film. Then we got the Dave Filoni Mandoverse movie, which I am so excited about for. This is going to be the culmination of everything started with The Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett, Ahsoka, Skeleton Crew, all of that. And that's exciting. Dave Filoni has earned this. He is a great, great Star Wars mind. So I'm looking forward to what he does there. And then finally, we got a James Mangold Dawn of the Jedi film, taking place 25,000 years before Episode 1. That's going to be amazing. Not just amazing, it's going to be fan-freaking-tastic is what it's going to be. I mean, there's so much about Star Wars that you have so much infighting, and I don't understand why anymore. Because there's so much coming. Yes, Kathy Kennedy hasn't been great for Star Wars. They probably should have gotten somebody in charge there that understood Star Wars a bit more, understood the creative side, what it meant to people. Kathy Kennedy is a hell of a producer. She has been part of some of the biggest blockbusters in history, but when it comes to Star Wars, she just didn't quite get it. But that's okay, because you don't have to always get it. You don't. But I personally, I want to see all of this. I am interested to see what they do with this because I think it's going to be fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Whoops. Man, I'm just all over the place today, guys. Now, I did want to bring up this here because I thought this was a bit interesting. So, Freddie Prinze Jr., who, I mean, he's done and said some things in the past that you know, he probably shouldn't. But he kind of says something here again that got people all in a tizzy lately. Let's take a listen.
But I don't want to see your version of Ahsoka Tano and Darth Maul because I already saw Dave Filoni do it, and I promise his is better because it was his idea. Those were his characters, not Darth Maul, but Ahsoka was his concept. So just change the names. Just have a character named Renoka Fano, and instead of a lightsaber, she's got a sword, and I'll give that a shot. But I don't want to see your fan film, and I don't mean that in a mean way. I just want to challenge you to be original. I want to challenge your ideas as an artist.
And he's not wrong. So many people got upset about this because he's sitting there saying, look, I don't want you to do Ahsoka or Darth Maul. Don't utilize these characters that have already been perfected. If you're going to do a fan film, be creative, do something yourself, do something amazing. Do something amazing that has never been done before. And he'll watch that, and so will I. Because he's not wrong. If I want to see something with Ahsoka, I'm going to count on Dave Filoni. I'm going to count on what they're doing at Lucasfilm with that character that they've established and are building on. But when it comes to characters that I don't know, that have never been established, that have never even been thought of, that's up for you, the fans, to do. The fan side of things, one of fan films, fan fiction side of things with Star Wars is a little bit iffy right now because George Lucas had great respect for the fans, and he loved seeing what the fans would come up with, and he supported it. They would have competitions and contests for fan-made things. But then you have someone like Kathy Kennedy and Lucasfilm in the current Disney regime, and well, they just don't they don't care about the fans. They don't care that they're really truly working hard on getting things to be fun for them. I mean, the fans are trying. Take a look at someone like Star Wars Theory on YouTube, and he created that Darth Vader film a number of years ago. And Lucasfilm gave him a hard time. It wasn't just Lucasfilm. I think it was something with the music. And they gave him a hard time about it. And that's just, to me, that's unfair. That's not right. You should allow these fans. Look, as long as it should be as simple as, look, if you're going to use the Star Wars name, if you're going to use Star Wars IP, you can't make money. You can't make money. But do what you want. That's it. That's simple. Use the music, use this, use that, use whatever you want. You just can't make money from it. Have fun with it. Because that's what is important. That is what is important when it comes to Star Wars, is the fans, and we want the fans to continue having fun with this. I know I do. I know that's what I want to see. I want to see the fans having fun. But what are your thoughts? Do you think Freddie Prinze Jr. is right there? Do you think he should be telling fans, don't utilize characters that are already established? Do you think you should be using, look, do what you want, but don't expect people to be as excited about that stuff when it's characters that they already have established in the lore. Yeah, I think that's about it. I mean, I don't got much more to talk about today. I figured it'd be a bit of a quicker episode. I just wanted to celebrate Star Wars. That's what this is all about, celebrating Star Wars. It's a shorter episode this week. I do apologize for that for those of you who count on an hour-long episode or 45-minute long episode. But yeah, let me know in the comments what got you into Star Wars? What's your favorite memory of Star Wars? And why have you stayed passionate about a galaxy far, far away? I want to know that stuff. So let me know in the comments. Make sure you hit that like button. Subscribe. We are 105 subscribers away from 2,000 subscribers on my YouTube channel. That is fantastic. I cannot tell you how excited I am to hit that 2,000 mark. So I'm excited for that. So definitely, share this with your friends, family, aunts, uncles, all that jazz. Be fantastic. Also, I want to remind everybody that the weekend of June 3rd, 4th, 5th, that weekend, Three Rivers Comic Convention in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. We will be there. We have a table. We're going to be set up there. We're going to be talking to cosplayers, artists, comic book shops, comic book creators, all that jazz. We want to highlight all these people for our channel. So we're going to be there. I want you to be there too. I think it'd be cool to see all of you people. It's a great, oh man. I'm going to be over the next few weeks. I'm going to be sharing photos from last year. I'm going to be, really pushing this thing because I support what John Engel, New Dimension Comics, what they're all doing with this convention. It's a great convention. My favorite in the area. It is my favorite convention in the area. So please, make sure you check it out. If you're in the Pittsburgh area, even if you're not in the Pittsburgh area, travel on out here. It is specifically comic book oriented. This isn't where you're going to find movie stars. This is a true comic convention, unlike any other in the area. So make sure you come and check it out. With all of that said, though, thank you so much for watching, for partaking. Like I said, hopefully you comment all this stuff. I'd love to hear your thoughts on Star Wars and what you think about everything that's going on in Star Wars right now. What got you into Star Wars? Do you love Star Wars? Do you hate Star Wars? I'd love to know what your thoughts are there. Make sure you scan that little QR code there. That'll take you to our link tree, and you'll be able to find all of our socials, all of our different areas that we are part of. So you can follow us and watch us and listen to us there. Yeah, guys, thank you all so much for joining me on this. Happy Star Wars Day. May the 4th be with you. And I'll talk at all of you later.